What is a good intro gag about splicing? Splice, dice, nice. Maybe the real splicing pun is the friends we made along the way.
Because it's Thursday.
Hello, Internet, and welcome back to the Vanishing Point. You know, splicing has always been a super interesting concept to me. Even though we didn't get its name until the Batman Beyond episode Splicers, it's been in practice ever since the very beginning of the DC animated universe. That's right, despite the fact that we're told it's
the new high-tech teen rage that has taken Gotham's youth by storm.
It was confirmed later on in Justice League Unlimited that the science was actually based on Dr. Kirk Langstrom's research.
Dr. Milo, splicing together human and animal DNA. How's that going?
I know what you're thinking, but my experiments are actually quite close to paying off. Dr. Langstrom's research has proven very useful.
So, while Abel Cuvier tells us
I was the first test subject,
he actually wasn't.
not canon.
That's not supposed to happen. Knowing that splicing is canonically connected to the very first episode of Batman the Animated Series, On Leather Wings, I figured now's as good a time as any to go through the history of the science throughout the DCAU. And before any of you put it down there in the comments, I know The Cat in the Claw Part 1 is technically the first aired episode of Batman the Animated Series, but going by production order, it's On Leather Wings. It's why it's the first episode on the DVD release, or DC Universe, or the Blu-ray. Any of them. Now, we've previously established in our Mask of the Phantasm timeline video that Man-Bat's first appearance occurs in July of 1993. This is based on both Hamilton Hill appearing as the mayor of Gotham in this episode, as well as Harvey Dent showing up pre-transformation to Two-Face. Batman Adventures Volume 2, which starts in December of 2000, states that Hamilton Hill served for 2 terms as the mayor of Gotham before being usurped by Penguin. A mayor's term being about 4 years means that Hamilton Hill would have become the mayor for the first time in December of 1992. Harvey, on the other hand, becomes Two-Face in May of 1994, and this explanation is a little bit more complicated, but we've already done a video on it before, so if you're interested in that, you can check it out up here. Seeing as that puts us in between December of 1992 and May of 1994, and the episode is nice enough to give us the date of July 13th, that means the only year this could occur is in 1993. Man-Bat returns in one form or another multiple times throughout this era of the DCAU, between the episode Terror in the Sky, as well as the tie-in comics Batman Adventures number 11, number 21, and Batman and Robin Adventures number 11, which confirms that all of those events occur in that order. We have Langstrom, his wife, Dr. Perry, whoever it was that died in Dorian's lab fire, and now this fifth Batman, Man-Bat. And now this fifth Man-Bat.
Then the 5. Oh, it's so hard. I can't think. I can't remember.
Now, Batman and Robin Adventures number 11 is said to occur years after On Leather Wings, which places that issue in 1995 at the absolute earliest. However, despite Batman saying that he's dealt with 5 Man-Bats by this time, he's actually only dealt with 3. Come to find out, this Man-Bat is actually Kirk Langstrom again, who's been hiding in the Batcave for months ever since the mentioned fire at Dorian's lab, meaning that Man-Bat number 1, 4, and 5 are actually all Kirk Langstrom. I think I just called Batman and Robin Adventures number 11, number 21. I don't know, maybe I did that multiple times. I'm just gonna hope they're fine and that you can like do some clever editing. Since that fire is stated to be months ago, this means that Batman Adventures number 21 is in 1994 at the earliest. In fact, there's one more context clue that locks that issue into that year. No, I'm not talking about the release date. I'm talking about another in-universe clue. Our first panel with Batman in it has him telling Commissioner Gordon that he had to go to Nepal in a hurry. The only times we see Batman confirmed to be in Nepal throughout the DCAU are Batman Adventures number 29, which this issue probably isn't talking about since that one came out months later, and the 2-part episode, The Demon's Quest. We briefly touched on that episode in the Two-Face video that I mentioned earlier, but as a quick refresher, this era of the DCAU ends in January of 1997, as made evident by Batman Adventures The Lost Years, another another one we've done a video on, which places a cap on Batman the Animated Series and its tie-in comics as mostly occurring by the end of 1996. Batman Adventures number 17 mentions that Batman and Ra's have been fighting each other for years, so that places Demon's Quest in 1994 at the absolute latest. It's actually pulled further to late 1994 when you take into account the 6-month gap from Two-Face Part 1 to Two-Face Part 2 to make sense of the fact that the giant penny from Almost Got Him is in the Batcave whenever Ra's shows up. I know this is a lot of information, but don't worry, I'll lay it all out for you a little bit later on. But for now, let's just keep on rolling because the history of splicing does not end with Langstrom. Returning to Batman Adventures number 21, if the name Dorian hasn't rung a bell for you yet, allow me to jog your memory.
My name is Emil Dorian, but that doesn't begin to tell you who I am.
He likes cats better than people, won't experiment on them. When I worked with him, he used primates, monkeys, changed their genotypes with feline DNA.
Oh, hey, there's Langstrom again. Although, instead of just a small cameo in Batman Adventures number 21, like he had in Tiger, the whole issue actually plays out as a supervillain crossover full of splicers from this era. Stated to occur a non-distinct amount of months after the events of Tiger, which places that episode sometime between December of 1993 and October of 1994. This issue has Emil Dorian escape Arkham Asylum to turn Kirk Langstrom back into the Man-Bat in order to get him to kidnap Batman and Selina Kyle to use them in his scientific experiments. But the Bat Guano insane nature of this story does not stop there. In fact, another villain from the cartoon shows up in Anthony Romulus from Moon of the Wolf. You know, the Olympian athlete that turns into a werewolf because Dr. Milo spliced him with Timberwolf steroids, which he said steroids won't work, but then gave him these steroids. It doesn't make any sense. This whole thing is insane. Of course, this is the same Dr. Milo that couldn't engineer a superpowered warthog based off of Kirk Langstrom's notes. So that makes it even weirder.
Not canon.
You need to stop. Seriously though, this issue was wild. Romulus shows up at Dorian's island looking for a cure to his werewolfism, but he finds out that the only one left is Tigress. The two of them end up going to try to find Dorian in Gotham, but end up coming across Man-Bat, and they follow him back to Dorian's lab. Once they get there, Dorian offers to put Tigress's brain into Batman's body so that him and Selina can fall in love or something like that. But none of this ends up working out because Romulus can't control his werewolfism and things just go awry, a lab fire started, and everyone's just presumed dead. I know this just sounds like a story that was slapped together by a madman, and it probably was, but trust me when I say it's worth the read. If you don't believe me, it's on DC Universe. You can go on there and read it for yourself. I highly recommend it. Of course, now that Romulus is in the picture though, this just begs the question, when does Moon of the Wolf take place? Well, at the end of that episode, Harvey Bullock tells us that,
but in 4 weeks there's another full moon. Then we'll know for sure.
This line's always been funny to me because if you pay attention, almost any time that the moon shows up in Batman the Animated Series, it is a full moon, like literally every time. This suggests that the episode would be about a month before the fire in Dorian's lab, so around October to November of 1994, which works super well considering that Romulus's initial transformation was linked to him trying to cheat to win the Autumn Games, and his full transformation is heavily implied to occur just a week before this episode starts. So, laying it all out, Kirk Langstrom debuts as the Man-Bat in July of 1993. This is then followed by his wife becoming the Man-Bat sometime in late 1993 to early 1994, for this is probably the only time that snow can occur before the other events. Tiger then occurs sometime between winter of 1993 to fall of 1994, with Batman Adventures number 11 also taking place some nebulous time in 1994. Following that up, Anthony Romulus becomes a werewolf sometime in fall of 1994. Emil Dorian's lab burns down sometime towards the end of the year, and then Batman and Robin Adventures number 11 occurs in 1995, where we see the Man-Bat hiding in the Batcave. Langstrom doesn't seem to be the only villain that survived that fire though. Just recently, Paul Dini wrote a Harley Quinn story called Harley Loves Joker, which reveals reveals that before ever taking on a life of crime, Harley was actually an intern at Star Labs in Gotham. In the story, we find out that Harley's work friend Gabriella Matthias was interested in being spliced with a weasel and went to Emil Dorian to get the procedure done. Uh-oh, did that light bulb just die? But here's the kicker. Dorian's assistant is none other than Abel Cuvier.
Okay, but will it canon?
I don't have time for this. We can't make this 2 videos in one right now. I've got to send out my Justice League vs. the Fatal 5 timeline notes in time for